the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Last week's second place allowed Iamaki to clinch the GTP Championship. His impressive 6 wins allows him a pressure-free final 2 rounds of the season. But the GTO class is far from decided. A single point separates Arnozzi and Thompson. Barber Motorsports Park is not known for playing kindly with multi-class traffic, so it's hard to say anything is a safe bet here. Much like Turn 2, our audience better prepare for an Alabama roller coaster as we get ready to watch Round 11 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live on the global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacher. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Steph, I feel like this is something of an underappreciated track on iRacing. It's a rarity on schedules, but it almost always puts on a good show.
Opened in 2003 and located in Birmingham, Alabama, this 2.38-mile-long track is probably one of the most beautiful racetracks in America. 15 flowing turns and a total elevation change of more than 80 feet. Barber Motorsports Park, on top of that, is one of the widest racetracks with a whopping 45 feet. This should help today's powerhouses when it comes to lapping. But let us show you how it feels to drive around this track as we take you on board our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Audi, so let's do a lap around Barber. Down into turn 1, expect a lot of understeer with how the track drops away. But immediately, you've got to get yourself ready for the Alabama roller coaster. This long, rolling bend is best if you square off your exit to try and get a better launch. The tricky part is that you'll need a hair of a lift through turn 4, and yet you'll also want to keep your speed up as much as you can. That's because Charlotte's Web is easily the most popular passing spot on this track. You definitely don't want to be vulnerable into here. Watch the curbs to the inside because they can bounce the car all over as you're trying to apply more throttle. From there, hold to the left for the best line into Museum Corner. Overtakes can be made into here, but you really can't stay side by side through this weaving downhill plunge. At the third apex, try to tuck the car into the inside as best you can so that you can really mash the gas at the bottom of the hill. Then first up on the back half of the course is the 10-11 chicane. Brush the brakes going in, and then as soon as it feels like it'll grip, get to the power. Drift back across to the right, and then steel yourself for the 12-13 chicane. You'll be slowing through the left-hander, then easing back onto the gas as you crest through 13. You'll only be flat to the floor briefly because 14 becomes one long drifting arc into 15. It's best not to hug the inside because the radius tightens sharply at the end. Plus, you don't want the car to push wide so that you've got a better line into the final turn. There's a lot of banking here, but the car will once again want to understeer on the power. But hopefully, you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Barber.
You see a lap around Barber Motorsports Park, and we're going to be doing a lot of them because they certainly get around here very quickly, especially in the Nissans. Now, we mentioned a little bit of the championship situation, but let's give you an exact look at where everything sits. Iamaki cannot be caught, unfortunately, by Fabian Gerber, even though he jumps up into second place. So Iamaki is now your champion in the GTP points race. Justin Albrecht falls down 1 because of Fabian switching with him, and then the same thing happens between Toika and Keith. Toika been having some good runs in the latter half of the season. He's still possibly able to catch the likes of both Gerber and Albrecht, who themselves only 3 points separate that battle from second. Looking at the GTP lights up at the top there, it is still up for grabs, but 46 points is a lot harder to come by down in the Amateur Championship, so unlikely that Krejcik will hand this over. He's been leading pretty much the whole season long. It's relatively close between Robanek and Fonseca for second and third, but there have been no changes down here in the top 5, the GTP Light, so it is Bell and Sakura who rounds them out. Meanwhile, what about the GTO Championships? We got 2 of those to cover as well. Steph?
Well, Joe, I can tell you, Milan Arnosi, he is right now your first place driver, and that is after both drop weeks already applied. He is only leading by 1 point over Riley Thompson for Total Downforce Racing there. In third, we then have the German driver of Dennis Neidhart, 26 points already behind, but it gets quite tight between him and fourth place Nicolas Mucanos there, 35 points behind your leader. And Phil Lake, quite interesting to see, only in 5th place there in the GTO class. But heading over to the GTU class, we have Hideki Koivisto leading away, but only once again by just 1 point over Adam Lindgren. So both GTO and GTU are very tight together. Reed Miller gaining 1 position over his Canadian brother there, so to speak. 32 points behind Mathieu Jeté, sorry. He is 39 points behind, so only 7 points between those 2 drivers. And then Michael Haynes, 54 points behind in 5th. So both GTO and GTU classes very tightly packed.
Glad to see that the Audi is going to give us some good action for hopefully the remaining 2 races of the season. Now, taking a look at today's race in particular, we are in round 11 out of 12. This is a sprint race compared to last week's run. This is only 40 minutes. They have no stop for fuel, as would be expected because of that. The setups on the car are open, so anything that you were able to do to the Nissan GTPX or to the Audi 90 GTO, you could do here in the sim. The points go down to 20th place, but we actually only have 19 drivers out here today, so neither class will see themselves no scoring today. Qualifying currently happening out on the track, but before we get to where that sits, let's remind you that you're watching on the iRacing Esports Network. And if you want to watch more of that, well, you probably would like to see it in your YouTube feed. All you got to do to get it there is hit the subscribe button. There's a big red button that says that. Click that, and then we'll not only see the Kamel GT series, but earlier today we had the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends series. They have all the World Championship series, the official stuff, the big boys racing here on IESN. Well, last week we were at Spa. Now we've easily hopped over to Alabama, because here in the virtual world, transporting your car to locales literally all over the globe is as easy as clicking your mouse. But in the real world, it's a lot more involved for those who haul vehicles state to state. The last thing you want to worry about is having to fill out all kinds of messy paperwork for the car inspections and then keep them in order on the road. There's great news if you're looking to do away with those stacks of paper. Inspect a Ride is the fastest way to conduct a vehicle inspection and create reports. You can save time, eliminate paper, and keep better inspection records and simplify your life, all from your iPhone, iPad, or Android phone or tablet. You can find out more at inspectoride.com/iRacing, where you can even find a free trial to find out if Inspect a Ride is right for you. So check it out. Once again, that address is inspectoride.com/iRacing. Up at the top at the moment, Carl Jansen leads the way in the GTPs. And Ove Trangrade, who has recently completed his second lap, sits on the pole, Steph, for your class. So as he sits at the top, Milan Arnozzi, who's currently in third, who's also completed his laps as evidence as he brings it into pit lane. Believe everybody out there has completed it. So that's going to finish qualifying. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the track and how it's going to relate to these 2 cars interacting. Steph, it's I mentioned it in the pre-race. Every time I've seen a multi-class series come here, it seems a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, it kind of does at times. But these 2 cars, they're so different. You have, as said, the 45 feet wide track all around. The Audi, it's gonna use all of that, but the Nissan with all the downforce is gonna be easily cutting into the inside of the cars, and it should be a lot better than what you usually see from multi-class Republic.
Well, let's hope so. It's a bit of a small field out here today, not as popular with some iRacers, but the Kamel GT guys certainly enjoy a challenge, and this one will be such of a train grade just at this point, warming up for the race. I will note that it's pretty late in the day now. With it only being 40 minutes, it shouldn't get too dark. It's currently 4:30 in the afternoon here, virtual standard time.
I have to say here, we're not allowed to forget there are a lot of trees around, so it might actually get a bit too dark for some Audi drivers.
Oh, that's true. If the sun gets lower and lower, that's going to certainly cast some shadows across certain parts of the track. But it will also mean that it'll continue to cool things. It's already pretty cold out here. 77 degrees on the track, 75-degree air temperature. Obviously, with it being in the south, even though it is currently February, both in the virtual world and here in the real world. So it's actually pretty nice day in terms of an Alabama winter, I suppose. As the clock ticks down, the qualifying, as we mentioned, is over, and all of our drivers have completed laps, so the grid is set. Let's go through your starting order, beginning with the GTP class. Carl Janssen comes back and puts it on the pole, challenging the likes of Ardo Iamaki. It's been a while since he's added to his tally of wins. Let's see if he can do it here today. Fabian Gerber is going to try to deny him for that. He, of course, is fighting for second in the championship. And Fabian Jungbluth, a good qualifying for him, starts all the way up in fourth on row 2. Then you've got the likes of John Keefe starting in fifth with Martin Krejcik in P6. Carlos Fonseca will be starting seventh, and though we don't see it here on our graphic, behind them will be Mark Schmieding in eighth and Ryan Lang in ninth.
Ove Trengrade will be your leader to the green flag in the GTO class. Right behind him, or right beside him rather, Rob Olniczak, Milan Anosi lines up in third besides Brian Strotbeck. Riley Thompson only down in fifth place alongside his teammate Adam Lindgren, but there's a full second, 1.001 seconds between them. Dennis Neidhart, he is in 8th place. Seventh place rather. Reed Miller in 8th place, Sergei Serbin in 9th, and Hideki Kovisto will run out your 19 drivers to take the green flag.
See, they're waiting for the roof pace car to take off, which it does right now. We'll get a rolling start here in the Kamel GT series. Now, Steph, I usually make notes for myself on certain corners, on what's dangerous, where to expect passes from. But I feel like passes here can be a little bit subjective because, I mean, the obvious one is Charlotte's Web, but I've seen some really daring moves into Museum Corner from time to time. What about with these two cars? Is it possible to send one in there?
I believe so, yes, especially because the braking zone of the Audi is so much longer than what you have with the Nissan. Also in the SS, I think you can get something done there, especially into them. Then we have T5 here coming up now with the GTOs, or the GTPs already through it. That's an easy, obviously, as you said. And honestly, I'm expecting the second last turn, so T13, T14 up the hill there. Audi is gonna use all that space, so the Nissan should easily be able to go down the inside there and do something there. But yeah, apart from that, it might get ever so slightly tricky because, let's face it, both cars are really fast around here, and they're gonna use a lot of that track. So even though it's wide, and even though it might sound easy on the paper, it might be very hard to come by a car here.
Well, we'll see who is willing to risk it to try and make a pass. As we mentioned, at least in the prototypes, that championship is already decided up at the top, so Iamaki can throw caution out the window. It's maybe Fabian Gerber who's got to worry about his fight for P2. Coming up over the hump and into the final little carousel section. The roof pace car will peel off into pit lane. It'll give control to Carl Jansen. Doesn't always race here, but when he shows up, he is blindingly quick. Is he quick enough to beat Iamaki? He's waiting for the green flag coming out of turn 16. And he gets a jump. Oh, a very good jump. Iamaki may be way too far ahead. He loses multiple positions. And is that John Keefe going up the inside looking for a potential podium? But Iamaki's way late on the brakes and brings himself back onto the podium. Let's go down to the Audis.
Well, we're nearly 3-1. We're actually 3-1. Oh, Riley Thompson gets touched there by who wants that? Brian stuck back and the touch again. Oh! Very bad start there for Riley Thompson, but we're still side by side up at the top though. That's Rob Olnichuk there against Ove Trangerate, and Milan Onosi wants to have something here too. 3 wide. Very aggressive start from all drivers here in the GTO class, and Rob Olnichuk finally gets past Ove Trangerate to take that first place away.
Fierce stuff, but watch out for our notes here. Remember, he's fighting for the championship. He's trying to get as many points as possible. He's to the inside of Trangerate, down through Museum Corner, but can't get it done. Horrible start for Riley Thompson all the way to the back of the field, still running, I would imagine, with some damage, though, based on both hitting the cart of, I believe that was Strodbeck, and the wall.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the replay on that.
Yeah, everything super high. I want to say hyper-aggressive there at the start from everyone, and yeah, it looked like Strodbeck didn't realize that he had Riley to his outside there.
He made a little contact with Arnozzi as well, and I think that's what sent him out.
Yeah, to me it looks like he didn't realize he had Riley to his right, and then he realized it, went to the left, and then had the contact with Arnozzi, sending him back into Riley. Just a messy start there overall.
Watching from Riley's view, yeah, he goes to turn in, and suddenly there's that snap-on car in the way. Oof. Hard hits. Not race ending, but well, he's got to hope that his suspension is not damaged by that contact. Meanwhile, watching him try to climb through the field. This is for P6 as he sneaks by Reed Miller through Charlotte's Web. Already trying to do a little bit of damage limitation.
Yeah, and the guy who really gained from this, Adam Lindgren, his teammate, he is now up into 4th position, gaining those 2 positions of Strodbeck and Riley Thompson. So a really great start for your GTU second place driver in the standings.
Not missing much up in the GTPs. Jansen's pulled a gap of about 1.7 over Gerber. Iamaki's pressuring him just a little bit. There you see Jansen pulling a wide gap back to the car in 2nd place. So we'll come back to the GTPs when we can. Right now, I'm more concerned about the lead for GTO. Olenek and Trangerade right on top of each other.
Yeah, and Trangerade, he looks racy today, ready to rock, so to speak. And yeah, they're dropping Arnozzi ever so slightly behind. Over the hump, drifting, and over Trangerade. Yeah, he had the run, but braking early there, not trying to force too much in the early stages.
Certainly poking and prodding. Ooh, bad exit off of Charlotte's Web, though, for Trangerade as we ride on board with the P2 driver. Behind them, starting to regain some of the ground that he lost, is Arnozzi. Ooh, and once again, another good exit from Trangerade. But as they come through the S's on the backside of the course, he really is not seeing any good chance to try and slip by our leader. So he waits patiently in line.
Yeah, and Trangerade looks like the old Trangerade, really great out of the corners. That's always his style here in the GTO class. His setup's always incredibly great out of turns with incredibly traction. but they suffer ever so slightly through the turns because of that. But here at Barber, it's all about that exit. You have to be good through that, otherwise you're gonna lose out quite a bit.
Let's check in on Fabian Gerber. Currently ahead of Iamaki. Ever since Iamaki's bad start, he's been plugged up behind the Diach driver. They've been holding station just about 2 seconds behind Janssen. So even Janssen scampered away initially. Gerber been limiting that gap to these 2 seconds that you see on your screen in the first 5 minutes. And now is starting to pull a little bit away from Iamaki, it looks like even.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Right now about a second between the two. But yeah, Fabian, he probably already knows, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do anything against Carl. So rather just try to drive away from R2 for as long as possible, because those GTO cars, they're gonna come quicker.
Yeah, that's something we haven't seen quite yet, is how the traffic is going to play into all of this. With a somewhat smaller field, they're taking a little time to catch up to the back of the GTOs. As we look at Jungbluth now, who's just behind that battle for second. He's chasing down John Keefe, but he's also got half an eye in his mirror. Martin Krejcik in the green and white machine chasing him.
Yeah, and what a season from Krejcik, though. Incredibly fast throughout the season. Always for the top 5 contention there, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, which didn't happen quite often this season. So yeah, Martin Krejcik probably the rising star in this series.
Oh, we need to go to Riley Thompson. He's getting ready to make another move. He's on the outside of Dennis Neidhart through Charlotte's Web. Can't find the grip on the outside. Looks for the over-under, but it fails. And so he sits with a car between himself and his teammate as they hit Museum Corner. Yeah,
and it just tells how fast Riley Thompson is in the race trim. Not as good qualifier sometimes, but race trim, that's his trim, and he shows it yet again, already gaining, what, 4 positions already gained? Yeah, no, 3 positions. The 4th position is Dennis Neidhart up ahead of him. And he probably wants to get by him and his teammate as fast as possible to get back up to Arnosi. Oh, big drift there for Dennis Neidhart.
That's certainly not going to help. Oh, ducking his nose in. Thompson maybe get a little bit desperate here, trying to make a sneaky pass into 15. They come back onto the front stretch. I almost wondered for a second if Lindgren was maybe intentionally trying to back up Neidhart into his teammate to help him out, but now he stretches away. So I don't know how much the team tactics really play into this. Through the Alabama roller coaster, and now they've got the traffic. Oh, he tips him! Neidhart has to catch it, but they both keep going.
Praise the quattro there for Neidhart. Carl Janssen tries to go around the outside, does that now. Easy braking there, breaking the 2 GTOs. And doesn't hold Neidhart up too much, but right behind him already, Gerber and Iamaki.
Right on board with Gerber, coming up to the braking for the Museum Corner. Gains a little bit of time, but has to wait now as he plunges downhill. Another bump on the back of Neidhart from Thompson. It's getting a little bit rough out there, and that holds up Gerber, who now finds himself trying to pick his way through carefully through the S's. They don't run into each other. Iamaki also trepidatious in this, and he finally gets through. I can't believe no positions changed there. Gerber almost runs into the likes of Lindgren and all that as we go to replay. Oh, and Thompson did get by.
Yes, Thompson did get by because Dennis Neidhart did miss a shift there out of Casino Corner.
A watch from Dennis's view. We'll be able to hear the missed shift. Listen.
Right there it was, missing the shift, and Riley Thompson says, "Thank you very much, I passed," and now he has to try to drive away and catch up to Adam Lindgren, as he did gain about 2 seconds on the 2 drivers because they were side by side through the S.
Wow, incredible stuff. And we're only 10 minutes into this 40-minute race. We still got 3/4 of the way to go. Quickly gaining on Adam Lindgren. I'm not sure that Adam will hold Riley up too much here, especially knowing that his teammate is for the championship. And ahead of Lindgren is his championship rival. That's Milan Arnozzi. He's got to try and limit that. Meanwhile, we've switched over to the GTPs. This is back to Jungbluth and P5, still stuck behind John Keefe.
Yeah, and they now will have to fight through this traffic here, as Krejcik, Jungbluth and John Keefe are not held up by the two TDR drivers here. Now they can get past around the inside.
Sneak through, and I think they're going to be successful without any dramas. Certainly holding up Adam as he goes wide, sees that he can safely hand the spot over to Thompson. Thompson now up to P4.
Yeah, and now it's the interesting part. It's 6 seconds between Arnozzi and Thompson. What will happen with that gap? Will Riley be able to run Arnozzi down, which pretty much also means will he be able to run the leader down of this GTO race? We'll have to see. Riley normally, as said, really strong in the race trim, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to do that.
He's only about 8 or 9 seconds behind Olenek at the moment, so certainly seems doable. That top group, which we haven't checked in for a while because they've stayed close, Olenek leading Trangrade, leading Arnozzi, now has the likes of Keefe, Jungbluth, and Krejcik trying to slip through. They're going to split them momentarily as they go on either side of Arnozzi. Frantic stuff. I do not know how you guys keep track of everything that's going on around you when you're down on track, Steph.
It's hard. It can get quite hard. Oh, Krejcik!
Slips
in the middle of the track.
Wow, that was Ove Trangerade who had to avoid him and still manages to keep Arnozzi behind him in all of that. Just inches to spare.
And you will be able to see it right here quite nicely on the chopper. He hits the bump on the end of the curb and just loops it around there. No way of saving that car.
Gonna watch onboard Ove, and then the battle is still going on live. He picks the right spot just in time as Ove fends off Milan Arnozzi into the Charlotte's Web. Oh, as Arnozzi has to take avoiding action from Martin Krejcik, trying to come back through a second time. That's going to split them, but for a while it looked like Milan might improve his chances to try and spread himself away from Thompson in the points battle.
Yeah, but look at how close Riley Thompson already is to Milan Arnozzi. It's already 2 seconds less than what he started with, only 4.1 seconds now because of the turns. But Riley Thompson, he is already quite a lot closer than what he started with.
You can see some of the damage on the car. It's on the left side. He hit the wall with his right side, but it was Stradbeck who got into him on the other side. Just an update on that. I don't know that we mentioned that Brian actually had to take a tow. His race quickly over and has since retired, unfortunately.
Oh, Jungbluth with a mistake there in Child Web. Too deep onto the brake.
Take a watch on the replay. We're going to go from on board. Diach driver over the hump, and unfortunately, as the car got light, the tires refused to grip. Now, he looked like he stayed on course just barely and didn't lose a position in that.
Yeah, he had his right side tires in the grass there, but it's just the big problem of Charlotte's Web, because if you ever so slightly take your braking point too deep, you're gonna exactly end up like Fabian in the grass, way offline, because it hangs so far off camber there.
So Jungbluth running in 5th, now maybe looking a little bit more behind that he's lost touch with John Keefe. Instead, it's Carlos Fonseca, since Martin Krejcik had his incident. Fonseca about 3 seconds back, but boy, traffic has been yo-yoing the gaps back and forth, so I said it at the start, nothing is safe.
Yes, it's just the nature of these cars. Nothing is ever safe. You might have a 3-second lead coming to the first time around lapping, and it suddenly is only a few tenths at the end of the lapping cycle.
Did Krejcik have another problem here? He's very slow. This looks like another Charlotte's Web incident.
Let's have a look here. He goes over the hump. Everything clean so far, and now into Charlotte's Web, braking at the 3 marker, and yeah, just spins it out there.
Rear started to come around. He did a good job of keeping it from doing it fully.
Yeah, great save there from Martin. And normally not an easy car to save the Nissan, but he did it quite nicely.
So we take a look at our leader in the GTP class. It's now 7.5 seconds from Janssen to Gerber. It's been an absolute romp for the #1 machine. 24 minutes left to go. He's not quite halfway. Little bobble coming off of Museum Corner, so he's got to at least keep focusing. But nothing to be too worried about. Well, that might be. Oh, wheels completely off into the grass there out of the S's.
Yeah, you can see that at some times where you just try to be hyper aggressive with that, because you can. It's one of those turns where you can be hyper aggressive without too much damage to your speed or anything, but it still can catch you out because it is quite a bumpy in there, and normally with this track you set it up quite hard, so any bump that you take wrong can unsettle your car quite a bit.
We've jumped back to 3rd place in the GTOs. This is Arnotzi that we're riding on board with. He's still about 3/4 of a second behind Trankerade. Oh, and Janssen's had a problem. He's handed the lead away. What was a handy lead gets tossed into the trash as he's now having to fight Iamaki, trying to take 2nd place away from him. This happened in the Alabama roller coaster. I think he's safe now, managing to fend him off.
A very weird accident there for Kyle. You'll be able to see it coming through turn 2, quite early through turn 2. Just loses the rear. Yeah, there you go. There you can see it just loses the rear. One of the slowest spins I've ever seen in this car. He hits the wall ever so slightly.
We might want to come back after this replay. Things are getting a little bit frantic as he is trying to chase down Gerber through a heap of traffic. And it's finally settled out. This has brought Iamaki into it as well. There's your podium in the GTP class, all 1, 2, 3 together. I don't know if I dare ask for a replay of what just happened a half a lap ago as they went through 13 and 14. But wow, it was good stuff. His cars were completely off track, and I think they've settled down, at least for the moment.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting lapping procedure there from pretty much every car involved, as we can now see there.
Yeah, that was Gerber that you just saw coming back on track as they went over the hump. We're going to watch on board. Just caught traffic at a really awkward time, it looks like.
Yeah, that's about as wide as you dare to drive here. Would be easier with a Quattro, but hey, the Nissan works too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to make your own path. Right now, it's Janssen trying to make his path past Fabian Gerber. They overtake the car of Riley Thompson.
Oh, big wobble from Janssen there.
Man, he is... Ever since we picked him up recently, the cars looked pretty unsteady. But we saw the bobble, we saw 2 tires being put off track, then a spin. I mean, any thoughts about what's going on with the car here?
I don't think it's that much with the car. I think it's Carl himself being annoyed with himself. And we all know if we're annoyed, we're driving a bit more erratic, a bit more aggressive. And I think that's exactly what is happening here. He lost a quite comfortable lead of 8 seconds. So anyone, I think, would be quite mad with himself there.
And I'm not sure what happened to Reed Miller.
Oh,
Our leader. What happened to our leader now?
Olenek missed the gear shift there quite heavily out of Casino Corner. actually did brake a few times to get it into gear there. That was weird there.
And since that, he's actually just got hit by a Nissan. Watching on the replay, this is where he misses the gear, and you're going to see him get freight trained. And the prototype lead changing hands. It's all kicking off. Carl Jansen down into turn 1. An incredibly hard turn to pass, and he manages it.
Yeah, and while that was going on, Milan Anossi also took over the P1 spot in the GTO class. It happened right around the mistake for Olenchuk. And into the S's afterwards, Milan Anossi just braved over Trangerate and took the lead away from him.
I think we've got the replay. Let's take a look at the change of position.
Yep, there we go. He's slotting himself in now, and then also the GTPs come along, and that helps him quite easily to take over that first place.
Yeah, there's your battle for the lead in the GTPs, saying, excuse me, shoving their way through, and Trangerate off to the side. Arnozzi says, I'll take that. And there's the change of lead for the GTPs with a bad exit out of the final corner for Gerber. Jansen breezes past. Everybody catch their breath? All right, let's move on to the final half of the race. Your leader in the GTPs is Jansen. Gerber's now in second. Iamaki still holds third, has not been able to make inroads there. Arnozzi is now your leader in the GTOs with Trangerate hot on his heels in second. And Rob Olenek has not given up. He's down in third, but they are not being caught by Riley Thompson. As another challenge for the lead, Trangerate trying to go the long way around to Charlotte's Web.
That was, I don't know, if I wouldn't know it better, that I would say that was a brake check from Arnozzi, but I think he just missed a gear there, or shifted into the wrong gear, and then had to brake quite a bit to get it into the right gear, catching over Trangerate out a little bit, but no harm, no foul, as there's John Keefe now behind the 3 cars, and Fabian Jungbluth right behind John Keefe.
Yeah, this is a battle for position. This is for 4th in the GTP, so these two aren't going to want to lose too much time. This has been the trouble spot. Switching to the inside this time, thankfully. Not having to go off into the grass. Was that contact with Arnozzi?
That was contact. They're sending Arnozzi wide, but able to keep it together and keep it in first place for now. But over Trangerate now really on the back of Arnozzi.
My goodness. It has been frantic out on track as the sun continues to set here in Alabama. Look at how close he's getting to the back of Arnozzi. Rob Olenek waiting patiently for his chance to maybe get back up to the front too.
For Milan, it starts to seem like he's running out of tires. Always has to go quite slow through turns to stay on the inside, or rather the racing line for the turns, and over Trangerate it just seems he can carry so much more mid-turn speed right now than Milan ahead of him, so we might see something happening soon there for the lead.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a matter of time before Ove sends it in. He's been holding right underneath him. And I've been corrected that it is not the gearbox at the back of the Audi, since it's a front-engine car. So he's under his bumper right now, not his gearbox.
Well, he could be under his wing too, because that is quite a big wing.
Yes, yeah, we'll go with that, under his wing. As they come back to the front stretch. Oh, big mistake from Arnozzi. But not enough of a mistake from Trangerate. Oh, no, Trangerate's going to try it. He's going the long way around of turn 1. This switches back into 2. He's got the inside line. Is this going to be enough? He's going to have to get the power down, and he does. I think Arnozzi's going to come back at him down into Charlotte's Web, and indeed, look at the defensive move from Ove Trangerate. Going to force them the long way around as they've got Carlos coming up behind them in the GTPs. Way too wide for Milan. Here comes Rob Olenek looking to take advantage, Steph.
Yeah, and Rob Olenek, sorry, he didn't get a drive though, but over train grade, exactly what I was talking about way earlier in the race. Just that setup of him, just look at how far he gets away from Arnosi there, out of every turn. It's exactly his driving style, his setup style that allows him to just get a huge launch out of every turn, and it proved quite useful there out of turn 2.
Created something of a traffic jam behind them. Carlos Fonseca picking his way through, and Martin Krajcik managed to overtake Mark Schmieding in that process to move himself into 7th. Meanwhile, creating quite a headache for our GTO battle for the lead. Trangrade streaks away, but poor Milana Arnozzi gets caught out with Rob Olenek, now trying to get up into 2nd place. Defensive move down to the first corner, way off the apex for Trangrade as he lets the GTPs through, and that closes them back in together.
Yeah, Olenek, he tried to set up Milan there through the last turn, just didn't happen though, because Milan was held up so much that he just got backed into Rob, not allowing Rob to do anything there out of the turn into turn 1. But Arnosi, he really looks like he does not want to give up that first place whatsoever.
Throw these 3 names into a hat and pick one out. You have as much chance of predicting the leader as I would at this point. Because my goodness, between the traffic and the incredible moves and attempts that we've seen between these 3, this is incredible racing through the S's on the backstretch. We still have 14 minutes left to go in this thing, so there's still a lot of laps on the cards. And in all of this, somehow Riley Thompson has not been able to chase them down. He's still 5 seconds back.
Yeah, and maybe he starts to feel the damage on his left side, or maybe he just thinks, hey, better safe than sorry. Just take home that 4th place. I'm not going to lose that much to Milan ahead. So yeah, probably just counting on the last race for these cars to make himself or crown himself the champion of the GTO class.
And even though they have 1 point separating, there is only Milan with 14 pocket points right now.
Krajcik right now side by side with Carlos Fonseca here for 6th position.
And in the popcorn spot, that's Schmieding behind them. They're going to go side by side up into Museum Corner. This doesn't end well usually. In fact, it doesn't end well for either driver as Mark finds himself gaining 2 positions in 1 corner up to 6. Krajcik gets it going. Fonseca gets it going. But there are not going to be handshakes after this one, I don't think.
Very unlucky for both drivers as they had net code. There you can see it, just ever so slight net code for both drivers. But what a save yet again from Martin Krajcik, keeping his car together. And
Fabian Gerber has lost 2nd place to Iamaki. Is this in the same corner? No, this is in Charlotte's Web. No. Oh, it was a lapping incident with Adam Lindgren over the hump of turn 3. Oh. Yeah, the initial contact sent them both sliding, but it was the second contact with Lindgren trying to catch the car that absolutely slammed Gerber into the tires.
Yeah, it's the rule of Kamel GT, don't overtake over that hump on the inside. Fabian Gerber actually goes to pit lane, too much damage to his car there.
Wow.
But yeah, the Audi needs the inside there, otherwise it's not gonna make that turn. So yeah, kind of a, I want to say brain freeze from Fabian there, going to the inside instead of the outside. Yeah. The saving grace for Fabian is that his rival for 2nd in the championship, Justin Albrecht, is not here today. You can see Adam is able to keep going, and he's actually down in 5th. He didn't lose the position because he's ahead of Dennis Neidhart with all that. So let's jump back up to the lead for our GTOs. It is Trangrade up ahead of Arnozzi. This is Iamaki in 2nd place, trying to stay patient. He's got no one to fight with directly at the moment. Oh, as he makes a mistake. That was hard contact there with the tire wall.
and over the hump. Maybe a little turbo lag, or what do you think happened here?
The hump can be quite sudden on this right side, so I think that caught him out. Just loses the rear of the car there and slams into the tire wall. He is able to continue though, and oh!
Yeah, that's setting off a battle, or almost set off a battle for Olenek and Arnotzi. Olenek tried it around the outside of the Alabama roller coaster. Now, whoa, and Arnotzi actually on the attack! Down deep into Charlotte's Web. He came from a mile behind on Ove Trangrade and almost made it stick.
That reminded me of my past Road America there quite a few seasons back. But Milanosi is still side by side with Trangrade here, and Trangrade once again with the drive, but on the outside, Milanosi has the better drive this time around, and Ove just has to stick back here. No way of going side by side.
Where did he find the grip? He went the long way around of Museum Corner to take the lead. Milan Arnotzi is on a mission. Let's look at the replay of this. I am gobsmacked.
Yeah,
it's just perfect.
It's the thing with this car. If you get the braking right, it can be so satisfying that you can come back from so far. And that's exactly what happened with Arnotzi there. Trangrade, he still is trying to do something happen here as he gets a little shove from Rob from behind. And once again, Milan Arnotzi just not able to keep up the mid-turn speed there over Trangrade.
And Trangrade tries to come back the long way around of Charlotte's Web himself. Can he return the favor? Not quite. And critically, it opens him up for Rob Olenek to have a look, but he backs out before they hit Museum Corner. Now, what this is doing, it is slowing these three down now, because Thompson down to 3.5 seconds behind. This is Thompson's best hope, although it's a bit of a nightmare scenario with him losing a number of spots to Arnotzi while he takes maximum points off track for Ove Trangrade. Has to get the car straight as he comes back off the grass, and that's all Olenek needs to get by. Or is it?
Or does he?
Side by side, he's on the outside as Ove Trangrade. He's going to try and carry the speed down into turn 16, but it's just not enough, Steph.
Yeah, and now Riley Thompson only 2.5 seconds behind the two of them. And we also have the battle of John Keefe and Fabian Jungblut coming up to these three guys now. So this might get quite interesting now.
Yeah, they just put Riley slightly offline for turn 1. That could have been a lot more time gained for him. The top three have finally spread apart to more than a tenth away from one another, and this certainly isn't going to help it. Here comes John Keefe with Fabian Jungblut poking his nose. Thinks better about 3 wide through Charlotte's Web as they go single file once again.
Yeah, and this held up Ove Trangrade quite a bit there. 4 car lengths now away from Rob. But the big benefiter of that from this car, this 3-car pack, was Milanosi, or still is, as Rob Olnichuk got super wide there.
Yeah, he was all the way off into the grass as we rode on board with him. And that brings Trangrade back to his rear. Milan Arnotzi didn't have it all his own way as well. He got cost some time through 13 and 14. Finds himself only 1.2 ahead of Olenek now.
Yeah, and still 6 minutes to go. That's about, I want to say 4 laps for these guys.
Sounds about right.
So, and Riley Thompson, he is now only 2 seconds behind 3rd place of Ove Trangrade.
He can clearly see them through his windscreen. Can he smell blood in the water? Is this enough to allow him to start to chase down this battle for the podium? He could maybe yet get Milan Arnotzi before this is said and done. Again, it's only 1 point between them, so it's not going to be a monstrous gap, but anything that you can do to try and help yourself coming to the final round, which is going to be at Motorsports of all places. You talk about hecticness with multi-class traffic. We've been watching this. We haven't really been able to catch up on the GTP cars. Just want to update that it's 10 seconds between Jansen and Iamaki, and another 26 back to John Keefe, who manages to get himself up onto the podium.
Yeah, but that podium isn't safe for him because he still has Fabian Jungbluth not that far behind him at the line. It's, let's see, about 1.5 seconds between the two.
Yep, and I'm sure Jungbluth would certainly love to get himself onto the podium. Typically not one to show up there. Tends to be about a mid-pack driver. But the number 9 car going to get a haul of points if he can just get one more car. There's really no battles happening besides that in that GTP field. They've all separated themselves.
Over the start-finish line, over Tranquilate missed the shift very hard there. Lost about a second to Olenek. Thank you. I'm always trying to pronounce that CZ there. But yeah, Olenek, he lost about a second to him, and he also lost a full second to Riley Thompson, who probably by this point really smells blood for at least that P3 position.
That's what he's got to at least be hoping for. Rob was kind enough to tell us at the very start of our coverage of the Kamel GT series how to pronounce his name. I never would have got it right myself. They've got a little bit more traffic in the form of the GTPs. Mark Schmedding trying to come through these guys. Ryan Lang as well. Thompson, unfortunately, finding more bad luck as he gets contact from Schmedding.
Yeah, Schmedding there tried to be safe, give Ryan Thompson some room there. Just overslows the car there, which Ryan Thompson did not expect there. But another thing that happened is Miranowski got backed up into Olenek. One day.
Yeah. And that has made the battle for the lead all the tighter. So as they come off the corner, Mark Schmedding is going to work through them. Maybe compromises the line slightly. Nope. Looks like Milan able to duck it back in just at the last moment. But that's Trangerade spinning behind them. That does hand third place over to Riley Thompson now.
Too aggressive on the curbs there for Trangerade and spins himself out there. You will be able to see the very first curb right now. Over the curb, loses control there and spins out.
I tell you what, patience and tenacity has played into the favor of Riley Thompson this race. I wouldn't have thought he'd be able to climb all the way up to the podium. But luck has helped him out a little bit, but his own hard charging put him in the position to do that. Not sure that he's going to be able to run down these two that we're watching battle for the lead. That's Arnotzi and Olenek, only half a second apart.
It's only 3 seconds between the two, so if they get bad luck with traffic or start to fight way too much, Riley is going to be there. So Krejcik way off track there.
That'll put your heart in your throat, especially if you're Rob. Of course, he probably couldn't see it at the time. But if that car had spun back onto the track, that would have been Rob's day over.
Yeah, that would be what you call a jump scare then.
Oh, and Rob's put off by the car of Fabian Gerber, who's got it back out on track in P7, trying to get as many points as he can. As he chases Martin Krejcik. That's actually for position.
No, it's not. Gerber is a lap behind.
No, it is. No, he did get him.
It was. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, they were both a lap behind. So, Fabian Gerber moves himself up to 6th now, and he's only 10 seconds back from Schmedding. So, he could still try and catch him, although it's be very difficult on the white flagged lap as we pick up Carl Jansen It looked like it was going to be all his own way, but his own mistakes forced a bit of an intense race on Carl. The Scandinavian driver back up the lead by a whole 13 seconds over Arto Iamaki.
Yeah, and Arto is right now around your third place of the GTO class, coming up to the leaders of the GTO class now. Just tells you right now into turn 4, just tells you how much that 13-second lead is for Janssen over Iamaki.
This is the battle that we've switched back to for the lead in the GTOs. Arnozzi really doesn't have the biggest cushion. I'll give a shout when our overall leader gets to the front stretch. So we continue to watch Arnozzi try to hold on to the lead, to extend his points gap. But now we've got to go to Carl Janssen. He comes around turn 16, puts another lap on Ryan Lang, and takes the win here in Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. Back to the GTOs, Milan Arnozzi is holding off the likes of Rob Olenek. And on to the front stretch as long as he doesn't miss a shift. This one is going to belong to Milan Arnozzi here in round 11. Look at this. Prototype battle for the podium hasn't settled itself. That's John Keefe in the number 11, the red and white machine. Fabian Jungluth in the blue and white. Close behind off the final corner. And I think it's going to go to John Keefe. The Hoosier takes it.
Right behind them finishes Dennis Neidhart and Hideki Koivisto. That's your 5th and 6th place finisher of GTO, if I have it correctly in my mind. Oh, 6th and 7th.
Yeah. Sometimes our timing and scoring can be a little screwy coming up to the line, but that's going to take us to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, and on screen we're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. As we watch the sun go down, Carl Janssen has taken the win here in round 11. The Kamel GT Series. Arto Iamaki, who has already been crowned champion, finishes in second, and then the podium is rounded out by John Keefe, who started this race P5. A nice job by him to survive while others around him seem to have trouble with traffic in their own cars. Fabian Jungbluth finishes in fourth, with Mark Spiedling coming in, a driver I don't think we've seen before here on the broadcast races, taking the top 5. Fabian Gerber unfortunately caught up in traffic and found himself having to settle for 6th, a lap down. Martin Krejcik gets 7th place with Carlos Fonseca in 8th, and the last car running, and in fact the last GTP car out on track, is Ryan Lang.
Milan Anosi is leading, or did win, sorry, the GTO class there in 10th place overall ahead of Rob Olinik. Wright Thompson, a great comeback there for him from last to 3rd place. Ove Trengerid, very unhappy in chat with his own mistake, comes home in 4th place. Adam Lindgren in 5th place, gaining 1 position over Dennis Neidhart, who comes home in 6th position. Hideki Koivisto 7th, Sergei Serbin 7th, Reed Miller is 8th, and last, 19th, is Brian Strotbeck in 19th overall, not finishing this race sadly.
Yeah, only 2 DNFs today, Reed Miller and Brian Strodbeck. But a driver who manages another podium today is John Keefe. John, it looked pretty hectic from our point of view, but we didn't really get to watch as much as we'd like of your battle with Fabian, just because the top guys were fighting so hard.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that other people were fighting as hard as Fabian and I were. It was every single lap. Fabian, he was, 3-4 tenths behind. I think the most gap I ever got on him with traffic was about 2 seconds. It took like 1,000% intensity from green flag to checkers.
So it's been a bit since Kamel came here to Barber. I believe 2017 was the last that you guys saw it. Glad to see it back, or glad to see the back end of it?
Oh, no. I enjoy this track, and I think I forgot how much I enjoy it in the Nissan. It's literally insane in the Nissan. So I'm a fan of it. I was actually shocked to see that we haven't been here since 2017. So I don't know. Probably not a popular opinion, but I'd like to see it every couple of seasons, a little more frequently.
Well, with Toyka not showing up and you only 4 points behind going in, this will help you try to catch him for 4th place. How do you feel about Motorsport coming up? Do you tend to fare well there?
I do. There's like a term I use for these style of tracks, and it, on the oval side, it would be called a bull ring. I really enjoy these types of tracks where the traffic interaction is sketchy. I think that really adds a lot of the fun to this series, is, being able to do things that you just don't get in other series, and interacting with Audi traffic with their weaknesses and strengths versus ours. These type of tracks, I think they put on really entertaining racing. I think watching this broadcast is probably going to be, one of our better performances as a series, because of how insane the dynamics are, really. So probably really long answer there. I'm sorry for taking up that kind of time, but
You're fine.
I'm really just worked up. Me and Fabian are actually running Le Mans here in an hour, so I've got to go get my adrenaline levels down a little bit. It's a lot of fun.
All right, well, we'll let you go calm down then. Congratulations on the podium today.
Thank you, guys.
That was John Keefe, 3rd place in the GTPs. Stefan has, in the meantime, caught up with our winner in this class. Carl Janssen joins us.
Yeah, and it looked like smooth sailing for Carl Janssen there for quite a bit, and then suddenly one big mistake to set up or to unsettle one of the great battles that we saw today. Carl, talk us through what happened there with your mistake.
I came into the corner and just trail braked the car a little bit too hard, and over that crashed it. The rear end got a little bit light and just spun itself around, basically.
Yeah, just tells you how easy this car is to upset on a track like this. But let's go to this battle. It was awesome to watch you guys go at it. I mean, we knew that you're gonna be able to get quite a big of a gap in quite some short time between yourself and second place, but um, this turned out a bit tougher to overtake than I honestly anticipated. How did it look from your perspective there?
Yeah, this track is a very weird track to pass on. There's like, it seems to be a lot of passing opportunities like everywhere, but it's really just a few certain spots you can pass in, and it's like last corner, first corner, and then I think it's turn 3 as well. That's like the only passing spots you have, so it's you need to set up for one of those, and it's
Yeah, the way they count it, it's it's turn 4 actually. But yeah, coming up to next race, Motorsport. How are you looking forward to that? Are you gonna race?
it's a maybe. As last week it was gonna be the pro qualifiers again, so I don't know if we're gonna race because we're already qualified in with the drop week they have. So I don't know if we race or not. It's up to the guys.
Well, it's always great to see you race here, Carl. So please come back. But yeah, that was Carl Jansen, your winner of today's race here at Barber Motorsports Park. And Joe Peak, meanwhile, gets to talk with your second place finisher in the GTO class, Rob Olenek.
Hey guys.
Hey, Rob, congratulations on taking second. I tell you what, you guys certainly hogged most of the screen time out there because was there ever a time the top 3 had separated more than 2 or 3 seconds?
I don't think so. I mean, that definitely was the closest battle I think I've been in a 3-way battle for the lead of a race ever. That was, I mean, we were practically touching half the time. It was fun.
It seemed like we saw a bit of bumping and bagging from your part. Poor Ove, unfortunately, lost out in the end with a mistake. But how do you deal with the lap traffic coming up at the same time that you're fighting so hard and so close?
It's hard, but I don't think you quite give in as much as you normally do if it's a little further apart. But I mean, you're trying to either hope the other guy gets offline more than you, and maybe you're ready to jump on an opportunity, or you're just trying to lose as little time as possible. But it was tough. Like, imagine 45 cars on this track. It was pretty busy as it was.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess you're grateful that there was a little bit of a light turnout today. So I'm looking, and I don't see your name high up on the points championship out there. So what do you do from here on with the final round? Is it just go for the win next race as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely try. I haven't been able to make as many races this season. I haven't done that bad in the ones that I've done. I don't count as many races as the rest of the guys. But I'll do that, and I'm going to try and put in a full season next season in the Audi too.
Well, we hope to see you back, and looking forward to a championship fight in season 2.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Rob Olenek, and we got a bit of a dual interview coming up here. Adam Lindgren and Riley Thompson for Team TDR coming in to talk to Steph.
Yeah, a bit of a total downforce racing party there with my teammates. But yeah, let's start off with Riley there with your first turn incident there. What happened there between you and Brian from your perspective?
I think what happened was he kind of got into Milan a little bit, and with how that corner is, it ended up just shooting him right into me and off of the track. And so after that, I was just a little too eager to rejoin and got into him.
Yeah, it certainly did seem like that, but it most definitely did help Adam Lindgren there into 4th position there for a very short time. And Adam, how did that feel to you? How did this whole race feel to you in general?
Well, seeing your teammate exit stage right is never a good feeling, but at the same time, it did give me a significant boost in the standings, and being able to hold on to that P4 for a long time was very, very helpful. This was a really good points day for me. Unfortunately, not so much for Riley, I don't think. But yeah, I had a great race, and Dennis kept me honest the whole time. It was really, I think I sweat more in this race than I have in a long time.
Yeah, I think pretty sure Riley has to win next round in case Milan finishes high up. So it's pretty much a do or die next round for Riley there. But yeah, Riley, quite a comeback there from you. Talk us through your chase back into third.
Yeah, it's more of just being consistent the whole time. After the race on Friday, I just realized most of the guys I was around, I was faster than, so I just knew I had to keep from making mistakes, and I would get by most of them.
Yeah, and honestly, quite a lucky break there for you at the end with Ove making the mistake in the casino chicane there. But yeah, moving forward, this is now a question into the open room between you two. How are you looking forward to the last round at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park?
Mossport is a gorgeous track, and I'm looking forward to racing it for sure. And the points battle between Hideki and I is not over, and I'm sure we're going to be fighting, hopefully together on track, down to the line. So I'm looking forward to that.
It would definitely be an interesting track to figure out the championship.
Yeah, and especially with Motorsports, such long, open, sweeping turns, which don't really suit the Audi with that much understeer. But yeah, guys, thank you so very much for joining us here in the booth today. Got quite a bit cramped there. But yeah, that was Riley Thompson, your third place finisher, and Adam Lindgren, your fifth place finisher overall, and a first place finisher in GTU. And Joe, once again, a great race from your Kamel GT guys.
They just always put on a phenomenal show out there, but eventually we got to close up. Before we do, we want to thank the likes of iRacing, of course, for bringing us onto the iRacing esports network. And once again, we always encourage you to subscribe here to IESN. Thanks goes out to Inspector Ride for sponsoring us, and if you would like to check out their software, they've got a free trial that you can get at inspectorride.com/iRacing. We wanted to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go out to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Steph, Amjed, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you head on over to our page, we've also got a big red subscribe button on GSRC's that if you click it, you won't miss a moment on the Global Sim Racing Channel. As we mentioned, we're going over to Canada. That'll be Saturday, March 2nd at noon Eastern. It's the finale for Season 1 here in 2019. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.